here for a public hearing. It's September 23rd, 6:15. I'll open this up, set adjournment at 6:30 if we're still going by that point. And I'll open it up for citizen comments. If anyone has any comments on the public hearing, we'll limit comments to the public hearing itself. All right, no one for citizen comments. We have a public hearing. I'll read the three items. The first one is to approve the grants by the City of Mount Juliet as previously budgeted in the 24-25 budget ordinance 24-25. Second is to amend the City Code of Ordinances for the City of Mount Juliet, Section 2822, to add the fire chief as voting member of the Traffic Commission. And the third is a resolution supporting a grant application for the Belinda City Parkway Sidewalk Phase 2 project by the City of Mount Juliet for the Tennessee Department of Transportation in the upcoming TAP grant cycle. If anybody would like to comment on these three items, I'd invite you forward to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and we'll give you 3 minutes to the floor to address the commission. If you have citizen comments on anything not in the public hearing, we'll open the meeting up and we'll have citizen comments there on any topic of your choice. It's no need to argue, just form a line. All right, seeing none, we will close our public hearing and reconvene for our regular scheduled meeting at 6:30. Good evening, everyone. It is September 23rd. I'll call the meeting of the Mount Juliet Board of Commissioners to order. We have a quorum present. We have 4 members here. We'll proceed with the conducting of our city business pursuant to City Code 62210. And with that, we'll get right into the agenda. So if there's no objections, is there any objections to setting the agenda as published? Oh, I see an objection. Commissioner Mullally, your objection.
Yeah, at the request of the developer, I would like to pull, what's the number?
12C,
12C,
and that's under your sponsorship. So
yes.
Sponsor, will you?
I don't have a date, so I would say to whenever the developer's ready to bring it back.
It'd be up to you. You just let staff know when you want it back on here.
Okay.
Any other changes to the agenda? All right, hearing none, we'll set the agenda as published minus 12C. So we have an 84-page packet, 1 item on unfinished business. We had 8, now we're down to 7 on new business. So if you need a copy, we have copies of the agenda in the wire baskets. If you're at home, you can follow along online with that as well. Our next item is our invocation and pledge of allegiance. I'd ask Mr. Beasley, if you would, sir, come and lead us in the invocation and pledge, please.
Thank you, Mayor. If y'all will stand with me. Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this beautiful evening that we have in Mount Juliet. We thank you for the agenda that we have today, Lord. Please give us your wisdom when discussing these items. We thank you for our elected body. We know that you've appointed them here for such a time as this. We thank you for their time, talent, and resources that they give. We thank you for our city management, our city staff. Lord, please give us your wisdom and your mindset of being good stewards to our taxpayers and to our citizens that are able to call home to Mount Juliet. We thank you for our other departments, and we ask that you pay special protection to our law enforcement and our first responders with EMS and fire as well, Lord. We give you the honor, we give you the praise, we give you the glory. It's in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley. Our next item is the approval of the minutes, and that is from our September 9th, 9/24. I heard a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on the minutes? All right, all in favor of the minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The minutes pass. The next item on our agenda is our citizen comments. If you're here and you'd like to make a comment on anything that we have on the agenda tonight, I'd invite you forward at this time to do so. We'll just ask for your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ryan Carr. I live at 320 Midtown Trail here in Mount Juliet. I'd like to kind of talk about the item 12A on your agenda today regarding Silver Springs subdivision. I know this discussion you'll be having is regarding the change of land use. It currently is low density. I believe they're actually asking for it to be medium density to put more homes within our subdivision. I, along with many others, strictly oppose this. We feel that the developers had this property for. I mean, I've lived in the property since 2008. I've been there for 16 years. He just continually keeps adding on, changing. This board seems to allow him just to keep making these changes, keep adding on. When I originally moved in there, we have told it's only going to be 4 or 5 phases. Now he's asking all the way up to 13 phases. Unfortunately, as a homeowner there, we do not have control of the homeowner association board, and he will have it until these phases are completely finished. And I know that's off topic of this, but adding on more homes, moving it to another 80, 90 homes within the what will be the finished subdivision is just going to put more burden within the entrance of Karen Drive and Bender's Ferry. I know it's going to connect to the county side of Karen Drive, but if anyone looks at a map, anyone has common sense can look at this. People within our subdivision are not going to be driving down the county road of Karen Drive, right? It goes out of the way. It's, turning onto Lebanon Road off that Karen Drive is hectic. It's not feasible. And so not only are these additional homes going to be continually coming out our main entrance, but we're going to get the, once it's connected, the folks on the old part of Karen Drive is going to be coming through our neighborhood as well, right? I mean, you look at it common sense wise, these homes, it's closer for them to come to downtown Mount Juliet by passing through our neighborhood. So not only are we additionally going to have those 40 homes, we're going to have, 40 or 50 homes which sound Old Karen Drive. We're going to have these new ones if you allow them to bring in these additional homes. Now, I know this isn't regarding the PUD, this is land use, but by making the change to medium density, that's going to give him a foothold into being able to additionally add on to this home, the PUD, which I believe it shouldn't be happening within our division. If he wants to make additional subdivision, he should make an additional subdivision. He's got frontage on Lebanon Road within close proximity of where he's building this at. He should make it a completely separate division. He can make these homes bigger. From my understanding, he's wanting these to be about twice the size of our current lots, which means it's going to be, the aesthetics of this new part is going to be completely different than what's already established in Silver Springs. So I recommend for this motion here, what you guys are going to be talking about is not to make that change, make it so those homes are bigger. So it actually can be a separate division, which I think, or separate subdivision, which I think you guys should recommend to this homeowner or to the developer. So that way it doesn't burden our Karen Drive, our Bender's Ferry, along with all these other subdivisions coming in through there. That I highly recommend that you don't make the change for this. Now, when it comes to the future PUD, I'll hopefully be here as well to kind of oppose that as well. So I appreciate your time and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Is there anyone else to address the Board of Commissioners? Name and address, please.
Yeah, Casey Conway, had to write it down because I get nervous speaking in front of people. So it's 220 Karen Drive. Beautiful street, unfortunate name. But I can't really add too much to what Mr. Carr said. He's been there since 2008. I'm a newer resident. We just moved in November of last year. We bought a house with the interest rates currently because we were out of bedrooms and we had to scrape, man, to do it. And we looked at just about every subdivision in Mount Juliet and chose Silver Springs because it's a Fleetwood Mac song, but also because it was a smaller neighborhood. And now, and we didn't have a chance to look at the plans because you don't get to see the plans through the HOA until you're in Dogtown and you get your password. There might have been a different way to go around that. I don't know it. So my biggest thing is, this has been going on since 2008. It was originally 4 to 5 phases, just like Mr. Carr said. And now he's up to 14 phases and we don't get any control. He's the builder's the HOA. So he writes an amendment and then he approves the amendment itself. So there's no checks and balances whatsoever. And, just to ask the sponsorship of the bill, Mr. Justice, I would just like to ask, you talked about how you really advocated for low density. But this is, going up in density. So I just would like to get an explanation of, why you're doing that. So, and I mean, another thing, let's see, the HOA is also it's ran by the builder and Gertner. So Gertner also, that's the only two people. There's no board. So Gertner sees the infractions and then collects on them. So it seems like a big conflict of interest to me. So it just seems like there's a lot the HOA has no say, which is the homeowners have no say. And, we're just kind of at the mercy of you guys because the builder's not going to listen. They're just going to keep building. The traffic's terrible. You try to take a left on the Bender's Ferry in the morning, taking kids to school, you're waiting. You're trying to come home, heading to Lebanon, you're waiting. So we're going to add 90 more homes on top of that. If you're going to widen the roads, I'd much rather be in favor of that once the infrastructure is in place. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. All right. Anyone else for citizen comments for the Board of Commissioners? All right, seeing none, we will close citizen comments and move to commissioner reports and comments. Commissioner Hefner, you're recognized for 5 minutes, sir.
Thanks, Mayor. I don't think we're not meeting the 14th, right? So we've got probably a month. So I'm going to hit some dates up. And then first off, I want to thank Mount Juliet Police Department and the Explorers for putting on that golf tournament. That was a great event. I think it was booked up completely. I'm sure we raised a ton of money. So I want to thank all that were involved in that and the Explorers. Hopefully they raised a considerable amount of money. Speaking of golf, tomorrow, Mount Juliet Chamber of Commerce golf tournament, 8:00. I'll be there on one of the tee boxes. So if you're playing in that golf tournament, stop by. Make sure you stop by and say hi. Early voting starts October 16th, runs through October 31st. General election, city elections, November 5th. This Friday night, September 27th, the Wellness Institute is sponsoring a concert. And these are some pretty big names in the music and country music. Colin Ray, if you're fans of 90s and 2000s, Colin Ray and Brian White, two superstars when they're on the charts. So those are two country music artists that are going to be at that event. And then Mount Juliet Homecoming, and I believe that's at Charlie Daniels. Is that correct? Okay, perfect. And then last but not least, Mount Juliet Homecoming event at Circle P Ranch, which is October 12th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So hope to see everybody out to that as well. So that concludes my comments.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll recognize Commissioner Mullally. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone that came out tonight to express your views and opinions. Next newsletter goes out a week from tomorrow on the 1st. And if you don't know, I do a monthly newsletter. So just another plug for Pickles for Pups, which is a fundraiser for our animal shelter. We don't budget money for the veterinarian care of the animals in the shelter. So the purpose of this pickleball tournament called Pickles for Pups is on Saturday, October 5th. This is the second year, and that is the sole purpose of this fundraiser, is to raise money for the veterinarian care for these animals. So that's on October 5th. If you don't play pickleball, please help spread the words. We need players, and hoping for a really good turnout. And I think I mentioned that, I guess I mentioned everything. October 5th, pickleball tournament. Please help spread the word. At Charlie Dan, no. This year it's going to be at Mundy Park, which is behind Providence, down Belinda Parkway. So I guess that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, we'll recognize Commissioner Justice for 5 minutes. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to try and find this flyer that Mr. Beasley sent me. On this coming Thursday night at 6 o'clock, I had some folks from Stone Hollow, Tuscan Gardens. We found out there was an existing subdivision nobody knew about, and it's called Tuscan Glen. And yeah, no, that's kind of was my response as well. Turns out that Park Glen and Tuscan Gardens had a child, and that was what it's called. It's called Tuscan Glen. And there was some confusion over that. So I've had some folks reach out to me, and it was about the school board. So on Thursday night, I reserved the high school, and we're going to have some school board members show up. Some of our planning staff here in the city are going to show up, and there will be a time for questions and answers for anybody that wants to come up and talk to the planning staff, talk to me or any other commissioner who wants to be there. Y'all are more than welcome. It's just not just my district. I think Jackson Hills is also affected by some of the redistricting within the school zones. So there'll probably be some questions as well coming from the Jackson Hills folks. If there are other questions that somebody would like to ask, be more than happy to answer them at that time. Y'all are more than welcome to come and ask me any questions you want to. I will tell you, I don't respond to rude emails. Not going to. So if you want to ask me a question, telephone number, I'm very accessible. Call me. Ask me to come to Hardee's and have a biscuit and sit down and talk. I'm good with that too. Doesn't matter. But getting back to the Thursday night thing, the school's been gracious enough to give us time there. And so we're hopefully going to have some folks who will come in there and they can ask all the questions they want to ask, and hopefully we'll get their questions answered at that time. And that's for anybody in the districts, whether it be from, Commissioner Laley from your district. If you want to come down there, they're more than welcome to come down and ask questions. But I will probably say most of these are going to be directed at some of the school board members to kind of get some guidance and some clearance as far as why they are redistricting and what they used as the components to move people to the different schools. So, Mr. Beasley, am I missing anything? I'm good. Okay. He gave me a thumbs up. That means we're good. Yeah. That's all I've got there.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'll just take an opportunity to mention, I think it's already been pointed out, we will not be meeting on the 14th. And we also have a work session concerning the budget on October 2nd. So that's next week and next Wednesday. And with that, I'll recognize our city manager for his comments. You're recognized for 10 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Board of Commissioners, those in attendance tonight and those watching from home. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Hoping we're going to get some much needed rain here soon. I know everything's dry, but I wanted to, Commissioner Bill Trivet said he couldn't be here. Our elected body, they all have secondary jobs or full-time jobs, I guess you'd say, and he wanted me to send his regards and apologize for not being able to be here tonight. He's traveling away on business. And most importantly, as we enter into the holiday season, of course, we always encourage everybody to be safe, but the importance of shopping local, we always preach that here in our city. I was talking to some fine folks there in the room, and they were talking about being entrepreneurs and business folks, and they probably don't even realize I'm talking about them, but they're local entrepreneurs and business folks. We like patronizing our local businesses. So please do that, because it's folks just like those fine folks that invest life savings into making our city what it is. And I was doing an interview today with Mr. Ivan's team there with the Wilson Post and the Chronicle and papers, and they were talking about what makes Mount Juliet so special. And I said, well, it's real simple. It's people. The people is what makes the community. And without the people, then you don't really have a city. You just have a place on a map. So thank you to our citizens for being such fine residents, because every community believes in their city. I just happen to think Mount Juliet's the best. So God bless our country and our people. And Mayor, that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you, sir. With that, we'll move into the business of our agenda tonight, which is 11A, an ordinance to amend the city code of ordinance of the city of Mount Juliet, Tennessee, section 2822, to add the fire chief as a voting member of the traffic commission. Have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments on 11A? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? 11A passes. 12A is an ordinance to amend the land use plan for the property known as Silver Springs Phase 8, located at 9621 Lebanon Road, map 54, parcel 45, from low density residential to medium density residential. And I'll second. Commissioner Justice, this is under your sponsorship.
Yes, sir. The reason I put this on here is turned down at the planning commission level. And I think most of you will remember when the law was changed, I said that anybody who brought the one and asked for it to be brought back in, I would sponsor that, whether I agreed with it or whether I didn't, because I wanted the actual voting body to be able to vote on this rather than appointed. So there was some accountability involved. So that's the reason I brought it back on here. I since, by the way, I was at the planning commission, and I'm the one that asked him at that time to decline it because of some issues that I was not aware of being fixed. There are some other things going on over there, and I've talked to Ms. Hamlin about these things as to what would be the best path forward, and she gave me a recommendation. So I'm comfortable with her recommendation at this point. And if I may, Mayor, if we could let her comment on this at this time, I would appreciate it.
Ms. Hamlin, you have comments?
Just like Commissioner Justice stated, this is a land use plan amendment from low density residential to medium density residential. Unfortunately, you don't have the PUD amendment in front of you, as it hasn't made its way through Planning Commission, waiting on this body to act on the land use plan. It would be my recommendation, if you felt comfortable moving this forward on first reading, make the condition that it's pending the PMDP approval, and let you guys look at those two at the same time. It's difficult for you all to make a decision on a final approval for a plan when you don't have it in front of you. So my recommendation would be for you guys to pass it along, first reading, and let's get that PMDP in front of you on before second reading so you can see it.
Do we need to make that as a amendment that they're read, that the second reading for this will occur with the second reading of the PMDP?
Yes, sir.
I would make that amendment, Mayor.
Okay, we got a motion. I'll second. Any questions or comments on the amendment to require the second reading to coincide with the second reading of the PMDP? All in favor, please. You got a question?
On page 30 of the ordinance itself, under now therefore, it has a 2023 date on it. Shouldn't that be 2024? Okay. Yeah. So I'm willing to do that, vote it first. Typically, I'm not a big supporter of land use amendments. But I'm willing to, I don't know anything about the plan, so I'm willing to at least have the plan heard and review it. Don't know why the planning commission gave it a negative. And, you know, if there's anything that's changed since then. So I don't know any of that. Not like I say, I've not seen the plan, but I'm willing to give it a first reading approval to, actually, I would like to see the plan and have it.
Okay, well, this ordinance that's on the floor here is to require the second reading of this to coincide with the PMDP.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. This is the
We're on the
amendment.
amendment. Commissioner Hefner.
I don't have a question on the amendment, but I do have a question
All right.
outside of the amendment. So we'll go ahead.
If there are any questions on the amendment, all in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're on the ordinance as once amended. Commissioner Hefner.
Is this, so this is already in the city limits, or is this going to be annexed in? So it's coming in from the county and
Yes,
then
sir.
it defaults to RS 40?
Should the annexation be
Should-
approved
should
with
it-
no rezone request?
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
that's why it's coming in under low density. Okay,
As a PUD.
as
It
a
w-
PUD.
The PUD will rezone it to RS 20
Okay,
if it's approved at a later date, right? Because you're just looking at land use tonight.
correct. But I'm trying to get my head wrapped around the densities. Currently, the medium density, which is the existing neighborhood, what is that?
It's RS 15, and the new part of the subdivision would be RS 20 with a density of 2.02 units per acre.
the
So it
lots-
increases the density overall for the subdivision because the lots would be bigger in this.
So the
in
lots
these
are going to be
sections.
bigger, but not
Yes, sir.
smaller
Correct.
than what is in the current.
Correct.
subdivision.
Current minimum lot size for Silver Springs is 5,227 square feet.
Okay,
The minimum lot sizes in the new sections are proposed at 10,000 square feet.
okay. So these lots would, even with the land use amendment to medium density, the lots are going to be larger than what's in the existing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Commissioner Mullally.
So once the plan is heard and if it doesn't pass, I would assume the developer would go to the county, which if he got approved there, it would, even though it would connect to this, it would be on a step system, I assume.
They would likely come in and ask for outside city sewer and whether or not that's approved, right? So we have the new subdivision regulation that require them to connect to city sewer and be 1 acre lots.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the ordinance as once amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So 12A passes on first reading. Next item is 12B, an ordinance to amend Part B of the Unified Development Code of the City of Mount Juliet, Tennessee, known as Zoning Regulations Ordinance 2001-29, adopted October 8, 2001, as amended by amending Section 3, 103, 3, 7, and A, Commercial Activities, Entertainment, and Amusement Services, to remove the seating capacity restrictions on entertainment and amusement services. Motion second. The 12B is on the floor. Any questions or comments? All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? 12B passes. Next item is 13A, a resolution approving the grants by the City of Mount Juliet as previously budgeted in the 2024-25 budget ordinance 2024-2025. A motion and a second. Commissioner Mullally? Any comments? It's under your sponsorship.
Yeah. Just have a question. The nonprofits are supposed to, hold on. The nonprofits are supposed to submit annual reports of business affairs and transactions, also a copy of annual audits and explanation of program and statements of use of funds. I know Dana's not here, but I was just wondering the status of, those nonprofits. Are they complying with this each year? So that would be my question. I guess Dana probably would be the only one to
Mr.
answer
Martin?
that.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to make sure the mic is on. Yes, ma'am. From everything I'm understanding through our finance department, they are compliant.
Okay, 100%, everyone?
Yes, ma'am. That's my
Okay.
impression. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. But I'll confirm that as well.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 13A passes. Next item is our consent agenda under resolutions. We have two items. A resolution declaring the City of Mount Juliet Fire Department property as surplus to be disposed of on or at govdeals.auction. And 14B, a resolution supporting a grant application for the Blended City Parkway Sidewalk Phase 2 project by the City of Mount Juliet, Tennessee Department for the City of Mount Juliet, Tennessee, for the Tennessee Department of Transportation upcoming TAP grant cycle. Motion is second. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda passes. Next item is 15A, a resolution of the City of Mount Juliet, Tennessee, urging the Tennessee General Assembly to remove the barriers to party affiliation in municipal elections and promote candidate transparency. I'll make a motion. All right. 15A is on the floor. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Mullally?
I gave it a second to get it on the floor for discussion. Typically, I'm not crazy about the idea. And the reason would be, and I don't care if anybody knows how I vote or not, but from a constituent standpoint, to me, if you're a constituent, you want your representative to be non-biased and you want to feel like your representative's going to represent you in a fair manner, regardless of what your party affiliation might be. So that's typically the reason that I'm just not crazy. I do think at some point it's probably going to pass. One of the parties is already working with the General Assembly to get that changed. So just like happened, what was it, 2 years ago with the county commission and the school board, where they now have to run on party. I know this probably is just a matter of time. So I do think at some point it's going to pass, but I just think from as a constituent, I would want my commissioner representative to, I wouldn't want to feel like if I voted one party and if they're another party, I wouldn't want to feel that they may not represent me in the same fair manner. So really that's the reason I'm not really crazy about it. But anyway, just.
Thank you, ma'am. I would point out, you mentioned some changes. The changes only applied to the school board. County commissions have been able to party affiliate, I don't know, for all my life, I'll say. The county's just chosen not to run, or the parties have not called for a primary. It's a big difference. And this is not, no one's required to do anything. It's just frees up the options, as municipal elections are the only ones that are required to run as independents and are barred from affiliating. Commissioner Justice.
I did some looking into this today, and I was talking to some folks at the state legislature, and it seems that there are some cities that already are doing partisan elections. I'm not sure about what vehicle they use to get there. I'm kind of like Commissioner Mullally in this, that I think a lot of times we wind up in a local level. We don't need to be as partisan. We're not going to be discussing abortion issues. We are not going to be making any changes to the Constitution. I don't think anything we vote on here are going to be border conditions that we can talk about. And so I've had some people that have reached out to me and said, they're not real thrilled with that partisan side of this. Most people know I'm kind of like you as well. I am a Republican and I am conservative, and my voting record, I think, are public, aren't they, Mayor? Our voting records, are they not?
Your vote is not public. The fact that you voted is
Through the
and
party, though, is right.
Well, the ballot that you picked up in a primary is
Correct.
public record as to
Okay.
which party's ballot, or if you took an independent, that's public record. Yes.
Okay, thank you. But also, we've got a little bit of a special circumstance here. We're one of a few cities in the state of Tennessee that we're home rule. We voted many, many years ago to make us a home rule city where we have the ability to adapt our charter without approaching the state legislature to do it. We can do it by a charter amendment through a referendum during a general election. So, I mean, we have the ability to do this without going to the state legislature. And whether I vote for it or against it, at this point, doesn't make any difference. I have zero problem putting it in front of the people to vote for it. And I would be willing to do that. So I don't think, I will say also, in talking to the folks at the state legislature, this has been brought up numerous times, but it's never made it out of committee because the Democratic Party has some pull, and they use their state legislators to make to get it pulled before it ever gets out and gets on the floor of the Senate or to the. So that would be my suggestion. Is if we want to do this, let's just put it on the ballot and let the people vote on it.
Good suggestion. Or Commissioner Hefner.
Yeah, I pretty much just echo what Commissioner Mullally and Justice stated. When I ran into in 2020, and there was a handful of people reached out and asked what my party affiliation was, and I had no problems telling them I'm a conservative. I'm conservative. I have been forever, as long as I can remember. But it didn't seem to be a burning issue that people were just over the top wanting to know. Right. There's going to be some that were out there that really want to know. And there's the vast majority of them really didn't care, because at the end of the day, we're a municipality. We're not dealing with the national level issues. We're not discussing Roe versus Wade. We're not talking about, the Second Amendment. We're passing PUDs. We're amending PUDs. We're passing a budget. Although there is some conservative nature when it comes to fiscal conservative beliefs, by and far, most the topics and the items that we're voting on are nonpartisan issues. So I don't know what problem we're solving with this. If anything, are creating a divisive. I mean, look at the school board. Look what happened to the school board this year, and it has totally split the school board down the middle when it comes to, party affiliations. I'd hate to see that happen at the city level, and I don't see a need for it. I would like to get more input from my constituents on this, and I think the best suggestion was a referendum and let the citizens vote. Let them ultimately decide if they want to know what your party affiliation is or not. And again, people that care, they're going to reach out and they're going to ask you. Trust me, I had many that did. So, but I don't know what problem we're solving with this. But in any event, that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Commissioner Mullally.
Just one more thing. I do understand the reason for it, but I just feel like would open the door for bias representation. And I would not want to do that with the constituents. But I would support putting it before the voters for a referendum.
Maybe something we consider in the future. Well, with that, all in favor of 15A, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. With a vote of 2-2, 15A fails. Next item on the agenda is 15B, a resolution approving the extension of the due diligence period up to and including December 5th, 2024 for the sales agreement for the city of Mount Juliet, Tennessee to sell approximately 29.7 acres of land identified as map 54 parcel 8203 Tomlinson property located within the city of Mount Juliet, Wilson County, Tennessee, and authorizing the city manager to sign the second amendment to the agreement that was approved on March 25th, 2024 by resolution 2020-24. Motion is second. Any questions or comments on 15B? Commissioner Mullally.
Just a clarification, the purpose of this is to just extend the period for the developer to survey the land. Is that the purpose?
Commissioner Justice.
The purpose, sorry. The purpose of this is to give them, is to extend the due diligence period so that they can actually bring their plan before the city commission for approval and make sure that they can get their approvals before they close on it. They don't want to close on a piece of property and then come back later on and not be able to get approved. So that's the reason for it. They actually are saying that the closing date is going to wind up being the same date as it is now. The only thing that's changing is the actual due diligence period, not the date of closing.
Right. Okay. December 5th.
I believe that's correct. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right. All in favor of 15B, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 15B passes. Next item is adjournment. Any objections to adjourning? Hearing none, we're adjourned.
I have learned to cover.